Hey everyone, Jackie here from Enjoying Life's Journey. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about two topics that pertain to full-time RVers or full-time travelers. And those two topics, they actually kind of go together as one topic. That's why I want to talk about them together. And the first one is the topic of having your domicile or having your legal address, your residence. And the second one being, how do you get your mail when you are on the road? So if you're interested in learning about those, stick around and we'll jump right in. All right, so people get asked this question quite a bit, and I actually had a viewer specifically ask. I did mention in our monthly budget video, one tip was to try to get all of your bills paperless. So we'll just go into her questions right here. Beth says, I think going paperless for bills is a great idea. What are you guys doing for proof of residence for taxes or school? I have heard and read that you have to have an address, sticks and bricks, place of residence, domicile for tax purposes. How do you do this if you live in an RV full time? Also, if you homeschool, don't you need an actual address for that as well? Not a P.O. box. I don't think they accept that for either. So thanks, Beth, for your question. Again, a lot of full-time RVers or full-time travelers get asked this question. Let's jump into the domicile part, like you mentioned. This is going to be kind of pertaining to people who are full-time travelers, but let me just do one point. You can be a full-time RVer or categorized as a full-time RVer, meaning that you live in your RV full-time and not necessarily be traveling. So in that instance, there are some parks, mobile home parks or RV parks that basically you can purchase a lot from there. So that would be your address, okay? So obviously that is if you're just going to stay stationary in one spot. But what do you do if you're going to be traveling around like we plan on doing? We plan on traveling around. You have a couple different options on how to form your domicile, but the biggest thing, the first step you're going to want to do is to decide which state do you want to be your domicile or your legal residence. And for us, we currently live in Arizona. A lot of full-time families or individuals, they tend to stick to certain states, and that's because of the different laws or requirements and things like that. So definitely figure out your state's laws. I'll just briefly touch on what you're looking for to take into consideration. So the first one is location. Is it going to be a state that you're actually going to spend part of your year in? Because when you initially set up that domicile, you're going to need to be present. You're going to need your vehicle's presence, your home or your RV present in order to get registered. So first one, are you going to even be spending time in that state? The second one a lot of people like to look for is if they have any state income tax. Now for us, I'm not really sure how that really works because we're basically going to be working seasonal work camping jobs throughout the US. So for us, I don't feel that requirement is really a big deal because I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, I haven't officially done this yet, so let me know in the comments if you know a little bit more. But if you have say you work in that state, I'm assuming you would file your taxes for that state that you worked in. So for instance, Arizona does have a state income tax, so they do tax your income that you make, whereas Texas does not have a state income tax. However, I'm going to be working up in North Dakota for my first one, so I'm assuming I would have to file a North Dakota state tax form if that was required, and that Arizona would not be taking that because I did not work in Arizona. So I'm not sure, but that's one thing to consider. Do they have a state income tax? The other thing is how easy is it to set up your residence there if you are not already a resident there? Some states are easier to get set up in. Some of them require Like for instance, Arizona, depending on what county you're in, you might have to have an admissions test done on your vehicles. Some other states you may not have to have the admissions test. So, there's different things to consider as far as what they require. What kind of documentation do you need? Do you need already a set address with some mail to get set up there? So you want to look into that, look into those type of things as well. The third thing for us, and I'm sure there's a lot more things to consider, but the third thing for us is because we homeschool. What is that state's homeschooling laws? And Arizona has a very lenient or very relaxed homeschool law where basically all you need to do is when your child is the age of 6, you need to fill out an affidavit stating that you will be homeschooling your child. No curriculum is required to be submitted, no attendance records, you don't have to do any standardized testing, none of that. You just simply fill out the affidavit saying that you will be homeschooling your child, and you can even state that you will not start homeschooling up to the age of 8 if you prefer to give your child a couple more years before they officially start school. So that's how Arizona works. So know your state. I know Texas has a very lenient one, I think even more so than Arizona. They don't require the same things. They don't require attendance records or curriculum, lesson plan ideas, or your testing. And also, I don't even think you need to fill out a form stating that you're homeschooling. You're a resident of that state, and they feel that it is your right as a parent to homeschool your child. So know the state laws for that if that's something that's going to affect you guys as a family, if you are a homeschooling family. There are other states that require you have to submit what curriculum you're using, a layout of lesson plans, you have to keep track of attendance, you have to keep track of credit hours, a lot of things that you have to do on top of your standardized testing. You have to do your own research. What I say is only a little bit of the research that I've done to help help my family decide what's going to be best for us. How do you set up the domicile? Again, you're going to have to research that. There are companies that actually will help you, mail forwarding companies that will help you, and that's part of my second step of how do you get your mail, so we'll go into that in a minute. But where are we going to live? What are we going to do? So what we decided is because we're already residents of Arizona. We have our driver's license here. We have all of our insurance and everything is set up here. All of our registration for the vehicles is set up here. We felt it was easiest for us when we initially hit the road to go ahead and stay residents in Arizona and keep Arizona as our domicile, okay? And so for us, basically what we're doing, the house that we're in now, it happens to be my friend's rental property. So we're going to keep this address as our address, but we will be signing up for a mail forwarding service that will then be able to handle our mail for us, so my friend does not need to handle the mail. So those are options for you, is to stay in, keep the address that you've had. Pick a friend or a relative's address that if they'll allow you to do that as your domicile, or work with a mail forwarding company where you can actually put their address as your address. So there are a few different options and ways that you can go. It's going to be what's best for you, okay? A lot of those companies that do help, some of them will only help with that state. So some are only for Florida, some are only for, say, South Dakota, or something like that. There are a few, like the Escapees RV Club, and I'll be bringing them up. We'll go on the computer and take a look here in a moment. But they will help you set up a domicile, and they do it in 3 different states. They have Florida, Texas, and South Dakota. And again, those 3 happen to be the most lenient when it comes to homeschooling laws, the easiest to get set up as a domicile when it comes to all of the documents and things required, and I believe they don't charge that state income tax. So again, just what's going to work best for you. So there are companies that can help you get that set up. Or again, you just pick a relative's address if you can, and then that brings me on to the second part, which is how do you get your mail? Now, physically getting your mail, like where you're at. So sometimes you can find a local post office close to where you're staying and have your mail sent. You can ask them if you can have mail sent there. You can have it sent there for the time that you're there. Or even some RV parks, you can ask them if you're going to be there for, say a month or something, you can have your mail sent there. So again, I come back to my first tip though, with all of anything that you possibly can, try to have it set up for paperless, because then you're not going to be getting a bunch of mail on a regular basis anyway. And if you do happen to order something, like we like to order off of Amazon a lot, if you order off of a website, wait till you're going to be somewhere for a significant amount of time, like 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then again, like I said, have it sent to that post office or the camping RV place that you're going to be at. Okay. Well, if you chose to use a friend or a relative as your domicile address, your mail could just go there, and then they could forward you your mail. Or you can do what we're going to be doing and have a mail forwarding service. Now, there are a lot of places, if you notice, when you fill out your information, you can put down your address and you can put down your mailing address. So it's not uncommon for people to have their mail sent somewhere else. So we're actually going to be setting up our mail forwarding with Traveling Mailbox, and we'll go over a few of these, but there's a few different mail forwarding services, and honestly, if you just Google mail forwarding services in your state, you'll find quite a bit of options, and you kind of have to like weigh through what they offer for what price that you're going to want. But we'll kind of go through some of those a little bit. But basically, we're going to do Traveling Mailbox, and the reason I picked them is because they have a group of addresses that you can pick from. And they happen to have a Phoenix address, and because we're going to keep Arizona as our residence, I felt it would be good for our mail to stay within the same state. You don't have to do that, but that's what I just felt that would work for us. So what will happen is they get your mail, they scan in the envelope. So they don't open your mail without your permission, but they scan in the envelope, and then they email that saying, hey, you got this mail. And so you can see, I mean, when you get your mail, you know right away whether you need to open it or you need to just shred it up, get rid of it, whatever. So then you let them know, okay, go ahead and open it and scan it in or shred it, or if you want them to actually mail it out to you. And again, that's where you would have them mail it to wherever you're at. All of our bills are already paperless, they're already electronic, so a lot of those, we don't get those statements in the mail anymore. So a lot of times the mail that we are getting, it's either because we specifically were waiting for something, or maybe it's like an offer, like to sign up for a credit card or something, and those are, we're debt free, we don't want any more credit cards. So for us, we're going to have our address here, and we're going to keep our address here as in this rental house that we're at. It's my friend's house, but we're going to have our mail forwarded to us, and that way my friend doesn't need to handle our mail. The other option, okay, you can have your friend send it or use that, and then some of the mail forwarding services will also help you set up your domicile or your residence where you can use that mail forwarding address. And you get a physical address, you don't get a P.O. box, you get an actual address. But you can use that address as your residence. So you have to contact that mail forwarding service and find out how it works. Also, you need to make sure that state allows that mail forwarding service to be done as an address. So for now, we're keeping Arizona as our domicile, as our residence, and we're using a mail forwarding service that will scan in all of our mail for us. So we're going to finish out the year doing that. Now, what happens, because this is my friend's rental property, what happens if she sells this house? Or what happens if we just decide we want to switch domiciles? Well, then we will actually be going with escapees or escapers. They're an RV club where they offer mail forwarding service, and they also offer the assistance to set you up with that help you get the domicile set up. So if we do, we will then be switching over to Texas. And the reason we decided to go with Texas is, one, the homeschooling law is even more lenient than Arizona. There's no state income taxes, and we do plan on working one of the seasons in Texas. And third, we have, my brother lives in Texas, we have some friends in Texas, so that is a state that we would be going through probably at least once a year. So for us, Arizona and Texas would be the two states that we want as our domicile. And once we get our mail forwarding address, we will then update our mailing address with all of our other companies, all of the other things that we have set up right now. So that way it gets sent that way. But let's jump on the computer real quick, and I'll just show you the traveling mailbox that I was talking about, and then the escaper. So these are just the routes that I'm using. Not everybody is going to be using them. So we are on travelingmailbox.com, and like I mentioned, this is going to be the mail forwarding service that we are going to use for now. We may end up switching down the road, but I felt this was going to be the best option for us. But basically it has a few different things of the features. I kind of explained a little bit about what they do as far as scanning in your envelope. They scan in the envelope, they email you that, and then you tell them what to do with it, whether you want them to go ahead and open it all the way and scan it, to shred it, or to mail it to you. And then again, they do have a bunch of different addresses that you can choose, and their main one, I believe, is here, North Carolina, but everything else, they do offer other addresses. So if you already lived in Florida and you wanted to keep that address as Florida, you could use those. They do have a Phoenix address here, so that's the one that we're going to end up going with. And then the pricing, you have a few different options on what you want to do. You have your $15 a month or $25 a month. You get a little more of that, and then you have your $55 a month. So for us, this is kind of something to keep in mind that may benefit with you, is how many recipients can be on there. So for the basic one, you get 3 mailbox recipients. So for us, that would actually be just fine. But if you have a larger family and people are starting to get their own mail, you may want to do a little bit bigger. Or if you have a business that gets a lot of mail, then you might want to use something else. They do say, though, you can use a business address for this as well, as long as it counts under your thing. So for instance, ours are 3 mailbox. We would go ahead and say myself, Ricky, and then once we officially set up our business for our Enjoying Life's Journey, and once we officially set that up, we could then accept mail for that as well. So that's 3 mailbox recipients there. Now, as our girls get older and say they're getting their own mail, then we might want to upgrade. But for us, we thought the $15 a month would be fine. Again, we don't get a lot of mail. Everything is mostly scanned in, so this would work out fine for us. You can also set it up. You can pay for the whole year up front, and then you get 2 months. You actually get 2 months free. Oh, and then it's the $15, and then with the addresses, again, if you saw it had that premium, basically that's like an additional, say, $5. It's like $4.95 or something like that. So we would basically be doing the $15 per month plan with the premium Phoenix location. So we would be looking at $19.95 a month. Or if we went ahead and purchased for the whole year up front, we'd get 2 months free, which would break out to be about $16 something a month. So that's the option that we're going to use. Again, do your research. I've been researching a lot. There's a lot of companies out there. Do what's best for you. The other one I wanted to show you is this Escapees RV Club. Again, you have to be part of their club. I'm actually part of Full-Time Families Club, which is an RV club, and by signing up with them, I believe it was like $40 or $45 for the year, I got 1 year free to Escapees, which is great. But they also, here, they offer their mail forwarding services as well, and they have different rates based, again, on what you're looking for. So you just have to go through and read through them. I felt the rates are still reasonable, so again, we might use them in the future. but they do sometimes have some other random fees for additional like scanning and all that. It's not all inclusive, whereas the traveling mailbox, it's all in there. You don't have all these random little fees. This one is you have to pay attention to that. But they also have which is the biggest thing for me, is this domicile option, where they will actually help you set up a legal address either in Texas, Florida, or South Dakota. So if any of those 3 states are interesting for you to do, then you could definitely go with them, get your domicile set up, get your mail forwarding set up, and then that's the way to go. We're going to stay with Arizona for Phoenix, like I said, and then later on down the road, as we start traveling more, we may go ahead and switch over to Texas. I know a lot of people also keep Nevada as a domicile because they have some more lenient type laws as well. So again, you guys just do some research, find out, what's going to work for you. I'll leave these links in the description box for you guys so you can see traveling mailbox and the Escapers mail forwarding service. I'll leave those links down below for you. So I hope this helped. I hope the information at least is helpful, but always do your own research. I hope that I've provided you a little bit of help and assistance in maybe locating the information that you are looking for. Google is a great resource. YouTube is a great resource to kind of get you started in looking in the right direction. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.